Hey everybody, Z Garcia here, and welcome back to Board Game Blender. A happy belated Halloween to you. I hope you had a fun time during Halloween. And so today, instead of doing a Halloween-themed episode, it's close enough that I felt okay doing that. We've done that before, so I figured I would do a Hallo-When episode. And what I mean by that is games, we're going to highlight games which you only play at specific times of the year or with specific people visiting over, something like that, or when you go visit them. So games that are not sort of always in rotation, but you keep anyway, you know when they're going to get played, and when you see those folks or when you go to that event, that game gets played. I want to hear about your own games that fit in this category, by the way, so make sure you tell me in the comments below. But without further ado, let's kick off the episode.
Happy Halloween, friends of the blend. It's Chris and Lindsay from Behind the Box. Now, almost a year ago, we moved away from Huddersfield to a different city, and one of the hardest things about moving is leaving behind your really close friends. But it's great when opportunities come around, like Halloween, where you can get back together and reconnect over a favorite board game. And for us, that board game is Dead of Winter. This was the very first board game that we played when we were first getting to know our great friends back in Huddersfield. And we found that as we were getting to know each other and getting back together, we would just return to this game again and again. We still play it today.
In Dead of Winter, you are a colony of survivors working together to make it through a harsh winter in the aftermath of a zombie apocalypse. There are different scenarios that everyone is working towards, and each individual will have their own secret objective which might conflict with the group goal. Each round, players will explore surrounding locations, search for necessary items, fight back the undead, as well as take care of the colony. The game ends when you either run out of time or morale, or if you manage to complete the main objective.
Now, Chris mentioned that sometimes there are secret objectives out there that can conflict with that group objective. This is because there could actually be a traitor around the table that's trying to sabotage the colony. And it creates this really interesting atmosphere of tension because I might really be wounded and need some help, some medical aid, but he's not giving me any medicine. And I have to wonder to myself, is that because maybe he's secretly just a hypochondriac and needs to keep those pills to himself? Or is he a traitor that wants me to die, morale to fall, and the colony to burn down?
Definitely not a traitor. Now, there's also crossroads cards. Now, these have events that might happen every round depending on the things that happen in a round, and they offer really interesting decisions and choices to make that will change how the game proceeds and plays going forward.
Yeah, so for example, there's a card about Christmas. So one of the survivors comes up to you and says, hey, I think tomorrow might be Christmas. How about we celebrate, raise morale, and have a bit of a feast in honor of Christmas? But then that gives you an interesting decision where, okay, that raises morale, but then what do we do? We've just used a whole bunch of food. Can we really afford that? So anybody who has a survivor at the colony at that time can vote. You put your thumbs up or down depending on whether we're having Christmas this year. Okay, no Santa.
Now, it's these choices that you get to make and the objectives that you've got to complete that mean that every time you play this game, it will be different and it will feel like your own personal zombie story with your friends every time you play.
Yeah, it's for that reason that Dead of Winter will always have a place in our luggage and a place in our hearts.
So, if you're planning on playing games this Halloween with friends, we'd definitely recommend Dead of Winter. It's got a great theme for Halloween, and it offers a really great night of gaming, and you will come away with stories to tell afterwards. If you agree, let us know, and if you don't, then let us know what games you'd play on Halloween instead. If you want more board games discussions with ourselves, then check us out at our own channel. But until the next one, we'll see you soon.
Bye!
There are not a lot of games I can think of that would fit the theme of Valentine's Day, but we now have one, a very popular one, and one that's also a quirky game, and this is Fog of Love that I'm talking about here. Fog of Love sets you up in this pseudo role-playing system in which you are going to encounter situations, and you and the other person across the table from you are going to pick the choices you would like based on a card. They give you a situation and a few different options, and you're going to earn different points in different parameters of your personality. The game designers make sure that they several times will state that you are playing fantasy versions of people. You are not yourselves in this game. And that's fine, because the situations you'll find yourself in, the responses might not be your response necessarily. You have a profession which is not yours. You'll have, again, the personality parameters that are not yours. But it's still a really fun and interesting concept. And it's very much a game that, like I said, feels like a role-playing game, pared down to a simple few choices. You know, the system here takes away the narration you would have from a role-playing game, takes away the traveling you would have in a role-playing game, and just gives you, this happens, how do you react? How did the other person react? You match those two things up and see how you did. Did you get a bunch of points for picking the same thing? Did you advance something on your own side of the board? And you eventually reach a conclusion. It's very much an experience game, which is what makes it very quirky. It's a very different concept. The game comes with a few different scenarios built right into the box. So you'll have something like High School Sweethearts, or, you know, the intro scenario in which you're just meeting for the first time, going on a few dates for the first time. But the production of everything in the game is stellar. The insert is fantastic. All of the components are very high quality. And so the whole thing comes across as a luxurious product. It's a very well put together product. The game even comes with this very in-depth tutorial, which is going to take you through one entire play of the game, and different cards will come up in different decks that you will pull, you will read, and will explain to you what to do next. So they'll take you through the whole game without having to read the rule book. It's a very well implemented system. It's actually quite a large system. So if you're someone who is used to reading rule books, you might want to actually not even bother with it, because you'll get up to speed a little bit faster just by reading the rule book. But for someone who is new to gaming, who might be a little intimidating by the amount of cards in here, the variability in the game, it is a nice way to slowly work your way up the complexity ladder and figure out how to play the entirety of one session. So it's a quirky game for sure. It's one that's now got a few expansions coming out as well. The game seems to be getting a lot of support. And I certainly would recommend it if you are looking for something to play during Valentine's Day and you want something that stands out a little bit from the crowd, something that's really different, very quirky, a unique system, and you're someone who likes the idea of storytelling or role-playing games in general, but you don't want that time investment, and of course you are playing a game based on, you know, like they say here on the box, a romantic comedy as a board game. So there you go. That is Fog of Love. Hopefully you'll give it a shot, see what you think. Let me know in the comments below if you have played this game and how you found it, and I'm going to see you on the next one.
Welcome to Bickering Over Board Games, where we talk about topics, trends, and things in board gaming and how we feel about them.
So the topic for the blender this week is Hallo-When, games that you only play at a certain time of year or when friends are visiting, which for us, there's one game that most fits this topic category.
Time stories.
We literally only play this game at a certain time of year
Thanksgiving break
with specific friends.
Yeah, and it's
Greg
kind
and
of
Renee.
nice that way.
Hi Greg.
I don't think
Hi Renee.
they're watching.
We could make them watch.
We could.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's a great experience.
It is. And it's nice because it spreads it out. You don't want to get it all done too fast, and you can just really dedicate a day.
So this is my Halloween game, which is coming up. Betrayal House on the Hill.
Yeah, last year we played it not on Halloween, but then on actual Halloween, one of our friends Skyped in and played the game over the computer with us. So,
Joe T, yeah.
Yeah, and then we went and watched the World Series.
It's the kind of game that you can play once a year and have a good time.
Yeah, and we've started doing a thing where if we have so many friends over, Brett will just sort of be like the MC of the game, and
or
then that
GM,
way,
if you prefer those two letters.
So then that way, if one of our friends who's never played the game before ends up being the betrayer, then Brett can go into the back room and be kind of a neutral source to bounce ideas off of.
Honestly, I have just as much fun, if not more, making sure that everyone else is not... Because sometimes people who don't play games often, which tends to be the people that come out on Halloween to play this, will be, you know, they'll be like, oh, where should I go? And you're like, literally anywhere. Like, it doesn't matter. And then, of course, just recently came out Betrayal at Baldur's Gate.
Yeah,
which
I haven't played.
You can see that I have made a little book.
Oh, that's what you did with that thing that you got at the craft store that I wasn't too thrilled with. Okay,
so this is the topic we're going to talk about this week. Do-it-yourself boxes, and we're going to show you how to make your own box for Betrayal. No, we're not. We're not going to do that. This is this is amateur hour.
You just use Mod Podge and.
What do you think? It looks. I bet it reads well.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I didn't know you did that.
I know. That's because it goes onto the shelf and it just looks like a book.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So one thing I was thinking about talking about is, as a trend, this sort of like re-releasing an old classic with a new skin, maybe, and also, or maybe we can take this in a different direction because
I'm excited. Where?
Well, not everybody likes Betrayal House on the Hill, and a lot of people don't like this because they don't like this. Yeah. Which, by the way, they're coming out with a legacy version of Betrayal House on the Hill, which I am very excited about.
Yeah, I'm excited about that too.
And a lot of other people aren't. But here's the thing. I think the reason why people don't necessarily like these games is because they're really more about an experience than they are a game. There's just as much potential imbalance in this as there was in the original. Like, you can just have the right item as the betrayer that it's very difficult to lose, or vice versa, and some people hate that. And I think the thing is, it's not really meant to be a game like best person wins. I think it's more like a funny story. And I would definitely say that's true of Time Stories.
One of our best board gaming stories comes from Time Stories with our friends, where...
Yeah. We can't tell you the story because it would spoil it completely.
We were real. And it took someone walking away from the table, coming back, looking at the clue, and then it was just as clear as day.
Which makes these kinds of games good for particular times of year or with particular friends.
Yeah.
We're seeing the rise of unlock games or escape room games.
Yeah.
Those are experience games.
Also, I would say that legacy games are very much have an experiential component. An experience that you look forward to. And then you make a tradition, because traditions are fun, and what this time of year is really all about. Yeah. Cheers to tradition.
Oh my god!
My family doesn't play too many games, but whenever we do get together, if a game gets played, it's going to be a party game. And this is the one I'm talking about today, yes. Something like that. This is a party game in which the players are trying to make matches, and so you'll have a selection of different tiles out there. You're given two random, you must say one word and have the other players guess which of the two things you are trying to link by a single word clue. It's very much like Codenames, but this is closer to Codenames Pictures than the original Codenames because everything is an image. There are two reasons why this game goes over so well, and in fact, better than Codenames Pictures. The first one, which is shared by Codenames Pictures, is that there is no language in the game, and so everything is an image on one of these cards. You are going to lay these out. Everyone knows what they are from the illustration. No need to translate, so you can play in a language-independent setting. The second thing, which does make this a bigger hit, in my opinion, than Codenames Pictures, is that it takes away some of that pressure of, when it's your turn, sitting there and coming up with a clue, which can slow the game down and can add to that stress of coming up with a good clue. It's your turn. We're all waiting on you. That feeling is not great, especially when the folks sitting around the table are not used to playing these kinds of games. So in this one, what I like is that everyone's got this clue. They've got the two items on the table. You're looking at these two things trying to come up with a word to link them, but it's no one's turn. When you're ready, go ahead and say it. So everyone can sit there looking at the clues. Once you've got one, you can simply go, okay, I've got one, say it. Other folks will guess. When someone else over there is ready to go, they can say, okay, I think I've got one, here I go, this is my word. And I like that fluidity in the game. It makes the stress level much lower. You don't feel put on the spot when it's your turn to come up with a clue and get that across to other people. The rest of the scoring is very simple, but this is just a sweet, small package that gives you a really fun, simple party game. One that does not necessitate for everyone to seem silly. So there's that as well. You don't have to stand up and act out. You don't have to draw, awful images or pictures, little doodles. you don't feel put on the spot by this game. Even the time pressure isn't there. So I think this is a solid one for a language independent setting. It really goes over well, like I said, with the family, and we always have a good time playing this one, even more so than Codenames Pictures, which we have played, but that time pressure can get to some folks. So there you go. That is yes. Very much recommend this one. Always comes out, if we're playing a game anyway, with the family, and they always have a good time with it. So this is it for Under the Radar. Check this one out and bring it to your next party. I'm out.
Monopoly played a big part in building this community that we so adore.
Okay, Mark Maya from Board Game Coffee. I haven't played Monopoly in 40 years. It's about time I get it back to the table again. Wait a minute, that's not just happening right now, is it? What is going on? No, 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 no. Man, that must have been a bad dream. Oh, my segment. Hello, friends of the blend, and welcome back to Retro Board Game Corner. Today we're talking Halloween. Here I have Mystic Skull, the game of voodoo, published in 1964 by Ideal. This is a 2 to 4 player game with a mysterious moving skull in which you're trying to fill up your opponent's voodoo dolls before they fill up yours. Let me set this up and show you how it works. This is what the game board will look like set up. First, everybody's going to pick a color voodoo doll here, and they're matching sticks that actually go inside the body here. Then everybody's going to get some tokens to start out with. They're going to get 1 voodoo doll, 2 shrunken heads, 3 snakes, and 4 spiders. Once all that happens, then you're ready to play. Now, on every single one of your turns, you're going to hold the skull up away from the board. As you're turning the cauldron here, you're going to chant a spell. Anything will do, like trouble, trouble, toil and trouble, fire burn and cauldron bubble, or anything like that. Once you've figured out where to stop it, you're just going to stop it and let the skull hang down. So after you've spun the cauldron as many times as you wanted while doing a chant, you're going to move this branch here until the skull starts to quiver and move. That means that he's contacted somebody from beyond. So we're going to go ahead and start moving it around and see if we can find it. And you see right there where it's quivering right there? That means that is the space that you follow and read. So this is the space that it landed on, so I'll get it out of the way so you guys can see here. So it says take 4 pins from the bank. So you're going to grab 4 pins and you're going to give them to the player on your left. So the player on your left, let's say if it's blue, will stick these 4 pins in the body in his voodoo doll like that. Or the other thing you can do is you can trade a token that's pictured here. For example, this is the voodoo token, and it says take 10 pins and give them to the player on your left. Or you can use this token to remove 8 pins from your own voodoo doll. So once that player has taken the turn and you've put the pins in or removed pins from your own voodoo doll, it's the next player's turn. Again, they'll lift up the skull, turn this cauldron, say a chant, whatever they want, and then put the skull back down, and then again move it until the skull quivers, and then that's what they do. Play continues until somebody has their voodoo doll is full of pins and they're out of the game. The last person that has a voodoo doll left wins the game. This is a theme that you rarely see. Come on now, voodoo? I only pull this out on Halloween time, and everybody's kind of mystified by this swinging skull here and trying to conjure up the spirits from beyond. It is very hard to find this game still intact with all the playing pieces. Well, that's all the time I have for now. If you have a comment below, or you can tweet them to me at RetroBoardGamer. And as always, may your rolls be high.
And that's going to do it for us on this episode of Board Game Blender. A big thanks to all of you for watching. Thanks to my contributors for their segments. Again, I'm Z Garcia. You've been watching The Dice Tower, and stay a friend of the blend. I'll see you.